Hi, welcome back to Conscious Spirituality. I am your host for this program, Aaron Tomlinson. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. And today I want to talk about how to make the law of attraction work for you. 5 things that you can do, 5 things that you can do that will make the law of attraction work better for you. And guess what? It might be simpler than you think. So let's jump right into it. I've just had it on my mind and heart to put out some videos on making the law of attraction work. Now, one of the reasons, if you know my story, if you've been following the channel at all, you know that I was a former Christian charismatic pastor for many, many years, went through a deconstruction process for a time period there. I flirted with the idea of atheism. Maybe there is no God, maybe materialism is all there is, but I was never able to really fully give myself over to that because I had so many experiences of faith working. And by faith, I don't mean adherence to a doctrinal creed. Like if you come from a religious background, you might think faith is about what your church believes, what you believe about God, or what you believe about Jesus. Is your faith working for you? Meaning, are your religious beliefs working for you? And I'm not talking about faith in that context at all. I'm talking about faith in the context of the law of attraction, or applying will, desire, and belief towards manifesting change in the objective world around us. So for most of my life, you know, I've been able to apply principles of faith, things that I learned from the scriptures, things that I learned from the teachings of Jesus that were in the Bible, things that I learned from others on how to apply my beliefs, my thoughts, my emotions towards a specific outcome in the objective universe, and then seeing those outcomes manifest over and over and over again, regardless of where I stood in my religious beliefs, because my religious beliefs were all over the place and they were changing all the time. But yet I learned to master some things about faith for outcomes, or about what some call the law of attraction or manifestation, that I've seen work many, many times for me. Now, I don't bat 1,000. I don't know anyone who bats 1,000. And if anybody out there is claiming they bat 1,000, then I'm going to call some BS on that because anyway. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to give you 5 keys that I learned from my own experience of working with these principles for over 30 years that I think will help you. Now, in my last video, if you haven't seen it, you can check it out up here in the link. But also, I want to pick up where I left off with that. I want to talk about the environment that we're creating, the environment, the internal environment. In fact, let me just back up and say this. So many of us want to make changes in our objective universe, in the world out there. We want a new car, we want a new house, we want a new relationship, we want a new job, we want more streams of income. But we don't understand anything about changing our subjective universe. And by subjective universe, I mean things like our beliefs, our attitudes, our feelings, our thoughts, etc. And by its very nature, the application of what we call the law of attraction in this community requires that we manifest from the inside out, that we work on changes within us before we start working on changes objectively outside of us. Now, you can do both at the same time. You can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? But working on this internal environment is so important. And so when I'm talking about your internal environment, I'm talking about the thoughts that you're thinking. I'm talking about the things that you are focusing on. I'm talking about feelings, habitual feelings and habitual thought patterns that we get into. I'm talking about attitudes. I'm talking about beliefs and core beliefs. I'm talking about trauma and resolving trauma and healing trauma. And so the environment in which we are working, our internal environment, is so important. So I want you to start paying attention to that. And as you pay attention to your internal environment, what do you notice? Do you tend to be a cynical person? Do you tend to be a skeptical person? Do you tend to be someone that's constantly overthinking and constantly doubting? Do you tend to be able to be what's the word I'm looking for? put in a bad mood, like something simple ruins your day, and kind of go around in a bad mood? And do you take that bad mood out on everybody else that's around you? If that's the case, then you really don't have a great environment for making the law of attraction work for you. And so I want to suggest that you start doing some daily affirmations, doing some positive meditations, getting some coaching or getting some counseling to help you work through traumas or help you work through depression or anxiety or whatever the case may be. But focus on that first. Focus on just creating an overall generalized positive belief system that something good is going to happen for me, that I am a good person, that the world is good, that the universe is supporting me, or God is supporting me and helping me and bringing things into my life and blessing me and favoring me. Developing some really powerful self-beliefs in regards to your belief about power, your individual empowerment, your self-esteem, and just general goodness and trust in the universe at large is going to make a huge difference, probably the biggest difference in your life. If you'd like to see more teaching coming from me and others on this channel, please comment about that in the comments. And that lets me know the kind of content that you're looking for. So that's the first thing, is the atmosphere, just creating an overall positive attitude. An overall, cultivating positive beliefs about who you are, about your empowerment, about the world around you. Whether it's true or not really isn't the main thing. The main thing is, listen, this stuff is not going to work if you don't work on just becoming a naturally more positive person. So what I would say, the first thing you need to do is constantly and consciously create the internal environment for your seeds of manifestation to grow. I'm going to say that again. Constantly and consistently create the internal environment for the seed to grow. Now, the second part is equally as important. In fact, this is all preparation, most of it. Most of what I have here is preparation. And the reason oftentimes the law of attraction doesn't work for people is because they get into New Thought, they get into Neville Goddard, they get into The Secret, they get into whatever, and they immediately run out and start trying to apply the principles without taking the necessary preparation. And without the necessary preparation in any worthy endeavor in life, you're probably destined for discouragement and failure. So preparation number one, the environment, constantly and consciously trying to create a positive internal environment in yourself with your thoughts and your feelings. Number two, you have to set a definite intention. Boy, can I not emphasize this enough. It has to be a definite intention of what you want. Notice I didn't say necessarily a specific intention, but it has to be well-defined. So what is a well-defined intention? Well, a well-defined intention, first of all, has to come out of desire. If it's not something that you really desire, then it's not going to have the fuel to take you where you want to go, and you're probably not going to succeed. So this cannot be just sort of I'm just going to try this and see if it works kind of thing. Most people that are just in the I'm going to try this and see if it's going to work kind of thing aren't bringing one of the three qualities that I've been talking about that are necessary to make the law of attraction work for you: will, desire, and belief. If you're just trying it to see if it works, to disprove your own skepticism, to disprove your own cynicism, you're not bringing the necessary ingredient of desire into play for the universe or for God, or however you understand it, source, whatever language you want to use, for it to work for you or work with you. So you got to work with something that's a genuine desire. And a lot of people don't allow their authentic desires to manifest, because all too often, and this is true especially for men, at least in my coaching practice and counseling practice, I see this all the time, is that most guys are just in their heads all the time, thinking, problem solving. And a lot of guys never really dig in to the basement down here. They never really get in down here to where the goods are, about what is it that you really desire? What is it, guys, that you are really passionate about? And then if we do let those desires emerge, this monkey brain up here is oftentimes short circuits those desires from being able to manifest, because either the mind goes to work and say, oh, well, that's impossible, or that's foolish, or that's silly, or that will never happen, or how could that happen for you? Or we put a value judgment on it and say whether or not it's right or whether it's wrong, whether one should desire that or shouldn't desire that. For example, if you come from like a hyper Christian religious background, or you come from certain streams of Eastern thought or New Age thinking that's been influenced by Eastern thought, then you might think materialism is bad. You might think that money is bad. I shouldn't be desiring money. I shouldn't be desiring earthly attachments. I shouldn't be desiring a soulmate or a partner, or I shouldn't be desiring sexual interactions or encounters, whatever the case may be. It's very easy to come in and just negate those with judgment and say, oh, that's wrong. Oh, you shouldn't be desiring that. And so all that stuff can prevent you from ever bringing that quality of desire to the program, to the thing that you're trying to manifest. So you want to take some time. Remember, I'm talking about preparation. If you want this to work for you, you're going to have to do some preparation. So there's going to be cultivating that positive mindset. But on the flip side of that, you're going to be digging into your feelings, digging into your passions, digging into your core, and finding out what is it that I really want, that I really desire. And you're going to let those desires emerge and present themselves in your consciousness without negating them, without judging them, and without your monkey mind taking over, trying to figure out how is that going to manifest. So you got to let that natural desire come up, and then you have to spend some time. Now, remember, what we're talking about here is setting a definite intention. So what is the outcome that you want? Now we have to define it. So if the desire is for greater wealth, how much greater wealth? If the desire is, let's just stay with that, for greater wealth, not just how much greater wealth, but how much is that going to take away from your life? Like, there's lots of ways to make greater wealth by just working harder and working more. And so you really have to analyze, I want to bring in more wealth, but I'm not willing to give up an extra 20 hours a week worth of work in order to manifest or create that. So see, I'm spending a lot of time thinking about and defining the kind of outcome that I want, and then making it generally specific, but not too specific. Because whether we like it or not, when we're talking about manifesting, when we're talking about the law of attraction, we are dealing with the law of probabilities. If you're going to believe for a specific, for example, I had a client one time who was believing for a specific movie star to become that person's spouse. They were going to manifest a marriage with a person in Hollywood that they admired and looked up to. The probabilities of that are pretty steep. You know how much has to happen. I mean, you might as well try to use your faith or use your will, desire, and belief to set the moon off its orbit just a little bit, or like maybe Joshua from the Bible, extend the day an hour longer or something like that. So the law of probability. So you want to keep it more general. So if you are believing for a partner, instead of believing for that specific person that you've set your affections on, maybe look at what are some of the qualities about that person that you would desire in a partner or in a mate. Maybe it's because they're physically attractive. Well, you can put physically attractive on there. They've got a great personality, meaning they got a really good sense of humor. One of them have a good sense of humor, faithfulness, loyalty. Maybe pick 4 or 5 different characteristics, and then you put it out. I want to manifest the partner in my life who's attractive, who has a good sense of humor, who's loyal, who's faithful, who's patient, whatever the case may be. Now you can see the probabilities of me getting what I really want is going to open up because I'm not too specific. So I belabored this point, but again, part of the reason that these things don't work is because we just jump into them right away and we don't take a lot of time to think about what it is that we want, why we want it, how it's going to impact and change our lives, and what are the necessary components, but not so specific that I'm just really defeating myself before I get started because I'm working against such a giant obstacle in terms of the laws of probability. I hope that made sense to you. So the third thing you want to do is, after you have set your intention, after you've imagined it, after you've spent some time putting yourself in there, believing that you have received it, getting the feeling as though you have received it. And I'm talking to some people that know a little bit about that. I'll do some other videos on how to really, we used to call it releasing your faith, or setting your intention, or putting it out to the universe or to God. I can do some more videos on that. If you're interested in that, comment down below and let me know. Always like to know what kind of content that you guys are looking for. So once you've done that, once you've created a positive atmosphere, once you've set a definite intention, and once you've released it and you've put it out into the universe, another reason why it gets short-circuited, and another reason that it doesn't work for people, is because you try to force it to happen instead of yielding to it happening. Most mistakes that I made early on in faith, or in manifestation, or manifesting outcomes, or the law of attraction, most of the mistakes that I made early on was in between what we used to call back in the church, in between the amen and the there it is, in between the I released my faith for it and now I've got it, or in between I released my intention and put it out to the universe and now I'm walking in the manifestation of it. There's always going to be an in-between time, and sometimes that in-between time is going to be difficult and challenging, because oftentimes you will experience the opposite of what you put out there almost immediately. And so managing that in-between time is really important. Sometimes we can want something so badly, sometimes we can want something so desperately, that we start trying to force it instead of just yielding to it. So it's really important that you just yield, you surrender. In other words, there's this delicate balance between doing something to bring the manifestation, taking action on it, and trying to force it. So we want to do just enough that we're putting ourselves in a position to receive, but we want to let it come to us almost. We want to let it come to us. We want to yield to the outcome happening. We want to surrender to the process rather than trying to force it. I've just found, for whatever reason, when we try to force it, oftentimes it just doesn't work out for us. Whereas if we yield to it, we surrender to the process, I just know in my life, I've gotten lots better results. The fourth thing I want to tell you, and this is an easy one and a simple one, and I don't want to go into all the whys, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody what you put out. Do this kind of work in secret. I don't know why it works, but I know Jesus said, if you pray to your Father in heaven in secret, that you'll be rewarded openly. Whatever you do in the secret, the reward will come out openly. And I've just found in my life that one principle that a lot of people violate. And I can say almost every time I violated that principle and told somebody what I was working on, what I was believing, what I was trying to manifest, oftentimes I messed it up. So just keep it to yourself. Really wise thing for you to do. And then finally, the fifth thing that you can do to make the law of attraction work for you is take some action. Now, again, you don't want to take action that's going to force it. But let me use the two examples. If you are wanting to increase your wealth, you're wanting to increase your financial viability, then you need to take some action in order to do that. You're not going to be able to save money or invest money or learn about the laws of finances if you never pick up a book and read or study or listen to podcasts about the laws of wealth and finances. You know, best advice a friend ever gave me was beware the naked man who offers you his shirt. You know, check people out, make sure that they have some substance to what they're saying, make sure they have some experience behind them, especially when it comes to finances, but you got to take some action. You might have to educate yourself. You might have to apply for a new job. You might have to save more money so that you can invest more money, and you might have to learn where to do those investments. Don't just expect checks to start pouring in the mail, or that lottery ticket that you turn in, or Powerball number that you turn in, and you're just using the law of attraction to manifest millions of dollars with lottery. Just don't expect that to give you results. So taking action. If you're looking for that soulmate, if you're looking for a romantic partner, putting yourself out there, man, it's probably easier than ever. I don't know, because I've been married for 28, almost 29 years now. But dating apps, put yourself out on dating apps. You know, if you're not attending someplace where someone could meet you, or at least putting yourself out there for someone to find you, then you're not taking the right kind of action to manifest what it is that you want to manifest. So I just want to cover this again real quick. The 5 things that you can do to make the law of attraction work better for you. Constantly and consciously create the internal environment for the seed to grow. Number 2, set a definite intention. Number 3, don't force it, yield to it. Number 4, don't tell anyone. And number 5, take action. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, if you have, I hope you'll check out some of my other content. Hope you'll subscribe, hit the notification button, and thanks for watching this, and I'll see you next time.